Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Bienvenidos a un nuevo vlog. Espero estén muy bien. Estamos aquí en Kyushu House, más que nada un taller muy importante en California. Taka, que es el maestro aquí, se dedica a tunear carburadores, Webers, que muchos batallamos bastante para encontrar una persona que realmente sea especialista en esto, y creo que aquí es muy conocido dentro de, más que nada, pues sí, de California, y ha viajado a otros estados para hacer tuning, y realmente es fascinante tenerlo aquí porque pues, nos ayuda bastante. Taka, so what do you do here? What's your main thing here?
So main thing is I do a little bit of everything, but my biggest work that happens here is restoration of carburetors, as well as installation and tuning service.
Okay, so how long you started into this business?
So I've been doing this ever since about 2015, but the business itself established in 2019.
2019, yeah. Okay. So how do you got into carburetors? That's a good question.
So I got into carburetors because the first classic car I ever purchased was a 1971 Datsun 240Z, and in that 240Z had a triple Mikuni carburetors. So
okay.
I didn't know anything about it, and I had no choice but to be forced to learn to work on it. So
was it hard to learn?
It was at first, yeah, definitely. I tried to network with a lot of people, but nobody really gave me like a definite answer on how to tune carburetors.
Yeah.
So I really had to dig in and get into kind of the next level, or should I say a deeper level of networking, and really try to find a good people that really knew what they were doing, and try to network with them to see if I can get my carburetors tuned.
Yeah.
But a lot of them won't tune it for me.
Sure.
But they would always teach me how to tune. They would give me pointers on like, oh yeah, well if your car's doing this, then try this. I think it's gonna improve. If it improves, call me back.
Okay.
So I'll try it. It improves. I call them back. Hey, it worked. And he's like, okay, well now you know what's going on, right? So it was kind of like that. It was kind of like an onion. You had to peel the layer little at a time, just to kind of get the tuning core done. So yeah, it was difficult, but it was definitely a fun challenge.
It is.
Yeah.
It's really hard for me, but so no swaps into your business like SR.
As of right now, no, I do not offer any swaps.
Yeah.
But I can if I have to, I will. But I really learned to appreciate the original engine that the cars came with.
Yeah.
So I like to try to keep that alive, especially on a classic cars. I feel like that engine originally belonged there for a reason. So I like to try to keep that engine alive and just improve on that, so yeah, that's kind of like what I like to do here.
Okay. On carburetors or Webers, which one do you recommend, or which one's the best, like Mikunis or something else?
Yeah, my personal recommendation would be Mikunis. I mean, they're all good carburetors. There's nothing wrong with them. They all tune correctly.
Yeah.
They all drive really well. But as an end user, to me personally, it seems Mikuni carburetors does a little bit better. They're more linear in power band. They're much more straightforward in tuning method. Weber's got way too many jet options that you can easily get confused. Whereas Mikunis, they have plentiful jets, where you still can't get confused. But if you have enough knowledge of your carburetors, then it'll be much more straightforward to tune. So
okay, let's do a walkthrough to your shop.
Sure.
Show us where the magic happens.
Okay, so this is a shop here. I share a space with my friend John Williams. He's a machinist, so that's all his machine stuff there. But so this is the final place. So it's kind of going backwards, but you know, since we're here.
Okay.
So I rebuild all the carburetors here. So after it gets disassembled, cleaned, plated, you know, once everything checks out good, I bring all the carburetors and its parts here, and I do the final assembly here. So this is pretty much where all the final stuff happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a set of Nismo Mikuni carburetors right now.
Yeah, which is really hard to get.
Yeah, they're pretty rare. Yeah, but yeah, this is kind of like the final stage that happens. So this is kind of like my assembly shop here. You know, where I do most of my assemblies here. So
okay, so what's the step on a rebuild? Like what's the first step you do?
So first step I do is once I receive the carburetors from a customer, I kind of do a visual inspection on it, make sure there's no components are missing, and from there I start tearing it apart. So I completely tear everything apart, 100%. There's not a single part that's like attached together. Whatever that can be removed, I remove everything. And I go through a full inspection. Okay. So I check for, you know, the bore diameter, make sure the bores are not messed up, right? You know, they're old carburetors that I'm trying to, you know, restore. So sometimes carburetors are, you know, been raced on. Yeah. You know, it's been abused quite a bit. So there's a lot of like wear and tear. So, you know, I have to make sure that the carburetor body itself is reusable. So I check for bore on the shafts, you know, shaft plate, you know, the throttle plate gapping, all that good stuff. And then from there, I clean it. I do sonic cleaning, make sure the sonic clean is good. You know, try to get all the dirt and debris as well as all the gunk out of it. Yeah. And from there, I take it to vapor blasting. So I do vapor blast process here in-house. Yeah. So every single carburetor bodies, manifold gets vapor blasted, and all the hardware will get hand polished. You know, strip the zinc, old zinc, strip it, hand polish them, make sure they're all nicely polished, and then take it to a zinc plating process. That way it comes out very nice and bright. And after that, yeah, you just make sure there's no, you know, external debris from like vapor blasting or anything like that in the carbs. Yeah. And start doing the rebuild process. You know, I try to use as much genuine parts as possible. Yeah. That keeps the quality level consistent. So I don't like to use anything aftermarket stuff. But you know, the parts are getting pretty difficult to find nowadays, right? So. Yeah. You know, but there, you know, if you really look into, you know, the sources, then you can still find, you know, good parts. So
okay. Yeah. In terms of sizes, like it really matters. Like size matters.
Yeah, in carburetor size do matter. So for the street drivers, you know, even though up to about 3-liter engine, I would say, on a 6-cylinder, right? Not on a 4-cylinder, but on a 6-cylinder engine, 40mm carburetors do really well, especially Mikunis. Yeah. They're very responsive, fun to drive, super reliable. But you know, once you start to get into the bigger displacement, like 3.1 liter, you know, stroker stuff, 44mm carburetors definitely is the one you want to go with. 40 and 44mm in Mikunis, they tend to do pretty similar towards the bottom end of the power band, but then once the RPM starts to kick in, you know, anything above 5,000 RPM, that's when the big difference starts to show, you know. So 44 breathes better up top, whereas 40 starts to kind of choke off after, you know, after a while. So size do matter. Weber and Mikuni carburetors, Webers actually perform better up top than they do Mikunis. But overall, I think, you know, the linear power band wise, Mikuni carburetors definitely perform better.
I see. Is there a lot of people that hit up when they go to a track? They hit up like, what's the different process of doing a rebuild? It's the same process?
No, it's not. So the track-oriented guys, there's a certain way that you have to build the carburetors for them, because they have, you know, fuel inside the float bowl in the carburetors, right? There's fuel inside. Yep. So to prevent the fuel from sloshing from all that G-force, you know, from them turning, there's a certain way or a certain technique that has to be done on the carburetor so that it doesn't slosh so much.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a way to do that. So yeah, it's definitely a carburetor has to be modified for that.
I see.
And you know, I think experienced rebuilder or you know guys will know about it, but it's kind of like a trade secret that a lot of people will do. You know how it is, right?
Yeah.
You know that I myself does it as well. You know, there's way to get more performance out of these carburetors, even though you know not just by changing the jets or choke sizes, but you know also modifying the throttle shafts and throttle plates will. You know, increase that much more, you know? I mean, it's very limited when it comes to power. So, you know, by doing small modification here and there, you know, if you can get that much more power out of it, you know, those racetrack guys will, you know, benefit from it. So, yeah.
I see. In terms of like doing a tune, like weather matters or not really?
It does. So air quality, as well as elevation, definitely comes into play. So you know, California, we've been pretty lucky. You know, especially Southern California, they're generally pretty close to sea level. So they tune fairly well. But you know, you go 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 feet, you know, up into the elevation, then yeah, definitely the carburetor will run much different. So
I see.
It has to be tuned for that. You know, and as a restoration side, it's very difficult for me to kind of jet it correctly, right? So you know, a lot of customer will ask me like, hey, you know, can you jet for, you know, this engine? Like, yeah, sure, I can put a baseline jets in it, but you know, you still have to adjust and fine tune and synchronize, and you know, and that part, you know, I can't do it here. You know, it cannot be done in house. So you know, I think that's kind of like the difference between like the tuning side and the restoration side. So but it definitely performs much different.
You usually like fly out when customers are like out of country, or you don't do that?
You know, I did get a request from few places. So I flew out recently. I flew out to Houston. Not Houston, Dallas area to tune the carburetors for a customer of mine as well as a good friend of mine. You know, I did get a request from a customer in Dubai. See if I can fly out there, you know, for about a week to tune carburetors. You know, it hasn't happened yet, but you know, I did tell him yes. You know, when the car's done, let me know. I would be more than happy to help. Another customer from Kuwait, you know, hit me up. Not so much from Japan, because Japan already have a lot of designated tuners out there. But yeah, a lot of places that doesn't have a whole lot of you know, designated tuners. They do reach out, and you know, but for the most part, you know, I can kind of help them out through like emails and phone conversation and like FaceTiming and stuff. Try to, you know, dial it in as much as possible without having to, you know, for them to spend so much money having me out there, right? So I do whatever I can to help out for sure.
Sounds good. Can you show us a tool like the synchronizer tool? Or you have it with you, or not really?
I do, but I gotta go get it from my truck. You mind?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
It's alright. Pues estamos aquí con Taka, que es japonés americano. Realmente, como les contaba, él es bastante conocido aquí en California. En Estados Unidos, creo que es uno de los mejores haciendo lo que hace, que es tunear carburadores, que es lo más complicado que hay si estás en los clásicos, porque muchos se detienen por eso, porque realmente le quieren poner Webers y todo eso, pero no hay alguien que realmente los haga correr bien. Entonces muchos los detienen eso, pero si tenemos a alguien como Taka, pues creo que nos ayuda bastante. Pero sí, nos está enseñando todo lo que ha hecho, todo el proceso de lo que cuesta, más que nada aprender. Dice que es mucho mejor entender el carburador y después, pues más que nada es prueba y error. Él así aprendió, y creo que si tú tienes algún Weber carburador y quieres que alguien lo haga bien, puedes mandarlo a Taka. Pues sí, realmente como todo lo bueno cuesta y tarda. Entonces, si tienes algo que preguntarle, pues ese es realmente es el lugar para ir. Si tienes algún web carburador o quieres eso para tu proyecto a futuro, este es el lugar. Así que vamos a seguir, que nos platique qué es la herramienta que él utiliza. Obviamente pues ya lleva mucho tiempo, ya sabe qué moverle a los, creo que se dice esprías, no sé cómo se dice, pero se llaman jets. Creo que así se dice en español. Si no, ahí dejen en el comentario. Pero sí, ahorita nos va a mostrar cómo él hace el zoom, que dice que es prácticamente el clima, influye mucho, muchas cosas que para que él deje un carro bien, pues sí, le costó bastante aprender, pero vamos a ver qué nos dice de esta herramienta y vamos a ir dando la vuelta en su taller. All right, Taka.
Cool.
So that's damn, that's
Yeah. So I usually keep it in my Pelican case.
Yeah.
So there's two types of synchronizer. So for SU carburetors, I like to use these Unison.
yeah.
You can easily purchase these on like Amazon or eBay. They have them. They're really good to have. You can tune Mikunis or Weber carburetors with this as well. But for Webers and Mikunis, I like to use this type. They're the SK ones.
Yeah.
But they work really well. So having a synchronizer will definitely help you tune your carburetors much more efficiently, and you get a much better throttle response, and it'll tune much nicer by having a synchronizer. So always have synchronizers.
Yeah.
Also, timing light. Classic cars gotta have timing light. So
Yeah.
If you don't have timing light, chances are you won't be able to tune your carburetors or tune your engines. So gotta have timing light. And obviously, this is a Mikuni kit, so I have a Weber kit as well. But ample amount of jets. So Mikuni have several different types of jets. So these are the pilot jets. They have the main jet, air corrector jets, and also accelerator pump jets. So gotta have 4 types of jets with a bunch of different numbers. Corresponds to different amount of fuel or air, whichever one you're trying to tune.
I see.
So yeah, gotta have jets. So yeah, these are kind of like my typical tuning kit that I have. Kind of allows me to efficiently tune customers' carburetors. So, yep.
So what's the price range of this? Like to buy it?
Like a whole kit?
Yeah.
Oh, it gets quite expensive. Just this kit alone, probably about $5,000 here.
Wow.
Yeah, because the jets are not cheap.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of jets, so it does get pretty pricey. But as a starter, if you're just doing it like I do this, full time, so that's the reason why I have all this. But as a starter, you're just working on your own carburetors or something like that, right? You don't really have to have all this, you can just have like a cheap timing gun. You don't have to have like a really good one like this, right?
Yeah.
You can just borrow one from AutoZone or something, or local auto store, borrow one from your friends. All you need is like a synchronizer, a decent timing gun, and jets you can always just purchase few of them, yourself, and then just kind of go from there. I think it's really bad if you start to like spend a lot of money on a bunch of different jets, because it gets really expensive very quickly. So the best thing to do is whatever jets that you currently have in your car or in your carburetors, try to tune them the best you can with that, and go on a test drive or put it on a dyno and see what the numbers do, or see, if you don't have dyno, go on a test drive, see how your car reacts to it.
Sure.
And from there, kind of read the manuals as well. They'll tell you what each jets kind of do, and I'm guessing that if you're tackling your own car, tuning, then you probably are mechanically inclined. So you can probably start to understand or figure out, okay, well, I think I'm starting to figure this out. You know, like the acceleration, when I punch the gas, it starts to hesitate heavily. Okay, well, I think my acceleration, you know, is bad. So let me look into my accelerator pump jets. Okay, well, it's really small. Let me raise it up so that I can get a better feel for it. So you put a bigger jets in it, it improves a lot more. Right? Okay, well, now I'm going in the right direction. So, you know, I think, you know, instead of like trying to buy everything all at once, just kind of go in steps, you know, and that will definitely help you efficiently tune your carburetors without having to, you know, spend thousands on jets and, you know, come to find out you never had to use any of that, you know. So that was kind of like the mistake that I kind of went through when I first started to tune carburetors. You know, I thought just buy every single jets there is and, you know, kind of start guessing from there. But there's really a method to it. And, you know, I was able to network with a really good people that really taught me how to tune carburetors efficiently without having to, you know, overspend on my jets or, you know, overspend on tools and parts that I needed to efficiently tune it. So, you know, yeah, if anybody needs some help or something, you know, feel free to reach out. And yeah, I love to, you know, at least guide them to the right way, you know, how I was taught, you know, and yeah, it'll be awesome. So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, time's close, I whittled them down. Sticking to them by sticking around. A gang online, Iwo Jima got one flag and it's sticking the ground. Setting up shop, think I got the message across. Came for the titles and press of the watch. We played the levels of Letterman jocks. Pins on the jacket, the man's abundant. The point of the road was banned and rugged. Hushing, I'm plotting on pants in London. The products are not being scared of some judgment.